So the UFC has decided to go full boxing clown show. And I'm going to explain what I mean. So the UFC last week announced that they are giving Alexa Grasso a special belt to carry for fight week and out to her rematch against Valentina Shevchenko at Noche UFC this Saturday. Was it September 16th? For Mexican Independence Day, and there's a picture of it. That's Dana White holding it, and the guy who made the belt, custom made the belt, on Dana's left. You're right. You can see it's a colorful belt. Like it's not bad looking. So it's not that the fact that it's a terrible looking belt that makes it clown show. What I mean by going full boxing clown show is that something that they never would have done in the past, they are now doing it and celebrating it. So let me explain why this is a boxing thing more than anything else, and what makes it so ridiculous. So you have to give me I'll explain it as briefly as possible. So in boxing, unlike in MMA, the promotions, the UFC, Bellator, One Championship, all of those, they own their titles, they own their championships, they own the belts. In fact, from what the UFC argued in court, they're not actual even championships, is what the UFC one time argued in court. They're basically an award given out to the best fighter of the night, is how they argued it. It's really weird how they argued it. But in MMA, much like in pro wrestling, the championships, the titles, the belts are completely controlled by the promoters themselves. In boxing, it is totally different. The promoters, whether it's PBC on Showtime, Top Rank on ESPN, Matchroom, any other boxing promoter, they do not own or control the titles, the championships, the belts. Those are split mostly. There are other smaller belts that are more regional and everything, but the big ones that matter are the big four of the sanctioning bodies. So you have WBC, the World Boxing Council, World Boxing, I think it's organization, WBO, IBF, International Boxing Federation, and what's WBO, WBC, IBF, and WBA, the World Boxing Association, I think, is the oldest. WBC is the second oldest, but WBA is the oldest. Mostly they're known for four colors. WBA is black. WBC is like a pea soup green. Looks like Linda Blair throwing up in The Exorcist. WBO is like a burgundy, and IBF is like a bright red. Those sanctioning bodies control those belts. They control them across every weight class. Some of them even have multiple belts within a weight class, because they'll say, well, this is the interim championship, which is basically your number one contender. Or they'll say, well, this is the regular champion, who's basically the number one contender to the world champion. And that's how boxing gets really confused, because you have all these belts. Then some of them have things like super champions and all of that. It starts getting really, really confusing. Then you have the worst offender of all, the WBC. The WBC will just make up special belts for non-title fights in order to draw out sanctioning fees. You see, here's the thing. So in boxing, the fighters, and the promoters as well, but the fighters especially, pay a percentage of each purse to the sanctioning bodies to keep moving up the ranks or to maintain their champion status. That's how the sanctioning bodies make money. That's how their business works. So the WBC has been creating specialized belts in order to charge sanctioning fees for all kinds of fights over the years that didn't need belts on the line because they weren't championship fights. They weren't special. There's nothing, for them to award. There's no award going around for that belt. But the WBC has been doing it forever. Mestizo belt, Teotihuacan belt, or however you pronounce that. Aztec warrior belt, Jaguar warrior belt, Mayan belt, diamond belt, money belt. The money belt was from Mayweather versus McGregor. There is no title on the line in that stupid fight, but WBC was the chosen sanctioning body because that's all Floyd Mayweather fights under, so they came out with a special belt so they could charge extra sanctioning fees. Now, that's why I think that the UFC is kind of going full boxing clown show. Now, they're not charging extra for this belt. It's a marketing tool. But that's what they are essentially for the WBC as well and other boxing sanctioning bodies. They come out with these special belts as part of a marketing tool. And, the UFC for years wanted to keep themselves separate from a lot of the things that they claimed they hated about boxing, or that Dana White claimed he hated about boxing. But more and more, all the time, I see them heading more and more towards boxing's models. Except for them keeping full control of all their titles and championships, obviously. But yeah, a specialized belt for a one-off fight, that's silly. It's full-on boxing clown show. And by the way, I don't have a problem with Alexa Grasso getting something special. She's one of my favorite fighters. So I don't have a problem with her getting something special. And I don't even necessarily dislike the design of this belt. It's okay. It's not bad. I just hate that the UFC, for how many years, wanted to stay away from going down boxing's path, is just doing it more and more often. And specialized belts for special events is just the epitome of boxing clown shows. Anyway, those are my thoughts on this. Let me know yours in the comments down below. If you liked the vid, please hit that thumbs up, and while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe to WMMA Now, the best, most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.